things in everything you do. I believe in the heavens above, and I believe in truth. I believe in the love we have, because I believe in you. So tell me, do you feel the way that I feel? Then tell me, would you give what I'm willing to give? And I believe in honesty, and I believe it's true. And I believe if you set it free, it will come back to you. And I believe that things were meant to really be. And I believe in the love we have, because I believe in you.
Hey everybody, welcome to UCY.TV, Cancer Kickers. Vince Easley standing in for J. Cynthia Brooks. What I'm doing today is I want to review a little bit. There's something really going on really great right now, and Ty Bollinger is he's going with another marathon replay, and you can watch all 11 episodes of The Quest for the Cure Continues. Hey, thanks, Jules. And that's going on right now. So in between times, it's till midnight Monday, and I think that might, I don't remember if it's East or West Coast time, but you can go to thetruthaboutcancer.com, and I'm sure you will find the link right there. And I'll tell you what, let me just pick this up, and I will drop it over here in chat for the live listeners. And if you're listening downstream on YouTube, that will be posted to comments also. So there it is right there. There's 11 episodes, and I'll go ahead and let me just give you the titles. Episode 1 is Modern Medicine and the Cancer Pandemic. 2 is Your First Line of Defense. Number 3 is Eliminate These Dirty Dozen. These, that is, in parentheses, dirty dozen to prevent cancer. Your Secret, Fountain of Youth is number 4. 5 is Nature's Pharmacy. Number 6 is Clean Foods and a Cancer-Free Diet. And number 7 through 9 is parts 1 through 3 of Diagnostics Do's and Don'ts, Proven Treatment Protocols. Number 10 is Doctor's Orders. And 11 is the finishing up there is How to Survive and Thrive. There's so much information here. I got to tell you, I'm going to pop back over to chat. Listen, there is so much information in these 11 episodes right here. I think everything, I would bet that there's not much left out of any, but that there is everything you need to know about cancer, the industry, the history. It's the most amazing series I've ever watched, and I'm going to be watching it over and over and over again, because there's just no way you can soak up all this at one setting. And I have been reviewing and have a few notes, but we'll just roll on along. And there's so many great people in this film, and I didn't take the time to make a list, but Ian Jacqueline's in there, Chris Wark, G. Edward Griffin gives a good outline. I think a lot of people have probably seen his video. Outlining how the system really started out back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and the consolidation of accepted teaching and protocol, which coalesced basically by the formation of the FDA and the AMA. People with financial interest from the petrochemical and the pharmaceutical industries. They kind of hijacked medical schools, and they took us away from allopathic medicine towards the I'm sorry, they took us from homeopathic towards the allopathic method, which that treats symptoms. If you're taking a pill for something, you're basically masking what the body is telling you is something is going on, and you need to look at it, right? So, I had a phone call today, and the fellow was asking me. Let me first of all let me say I should have probably said this at the beginning. Look, what I'm talking about here is some of my own interest. It's a point of study for me. So what I say is just for your information, and kind of here's the disclaimer, right? Do your own research, and you do what you feel is best for yourself. And nobody's responsible for what I got to say but me. Anyways, I'll continue. So we see that. And it's pretty easy to see with anybody that wants to go ahead and take the time. If you're not familiar with this, I invite you to take a close look, because cancer is affecting like 1 out of 5 people, I think now, and it's increased over time. But let's get back to what is cancer. It's your body telling you something's going on wrong, right? And we'll be addressing some of this also. But why is cancer appearing in the body? Well, cancer cells naturally live in your body, and there's a problem with the environment. So, first of all, if you have good nutrition, your immune system is going to be supported. Now, I've already skipped ahead to episode 2 here, and that's your first line of defense. So. And it explores the immune system and why someone cannot have cancer with a proper, unimpeded immune system. Now, the industry, what they do, they only want to kill the cancer cells. Now, imagine about, okay, and if you think, now the cancer cells and the regular cells are all intertwined, right? It's just not like, boom, there's a cancer cell growing right there, and it's just all cancer. Most of the cells there are not cancer, in fact, but benign, just cells. So, although you may alleviate the symptom by killing some cancer cells, you still have the underlying problem, right? So, with a proper immune system, it would fight and strengthen and restore stimulating genes that would enhance the health and promote detoxification. And that would then reduce inflammation, and that's part of the characteristic of cancer is the inflammation, and that all leads up to the symptoms, that is. So proper input of food strengthens the immune system and unburdens white blood cells that are the army. And this sugar, by the way, it fuels cancer. Each person consumes about 150 pounds per year. I don't think I consume anywhere near that, so somebody's getting my share. But not to be a hypocrite, but I do indulge in places I shouldn't, I reckon. So, sugar is an obligate glucose metabolizer, and people with cancer die from malnutrition, and that's caused because the cancer is just consuming all the food, the nutrients available is being going through the bloodstream, right? And when you take and add simple sugars into that, it's like pouring gas on a fire. Now these are the basic beet sugar, cane sugar type, and does not include the sugars that are natural in fruits and so forth. Now cancer cells, they have a cloaking ability to the immune system, and there's some things that you can do to make them visible. For instance, there's a green tea extract. Eat fresh berries, by the way. That's there's a lot of antioxidants and so forth in there. Let's see, episode 3, the Dirty Dozen. Okay, you want to eliminate these, of course, and a partial list out of that talks about vaccines. You know what other ingredients? There's toxic heavy metals, mercury. There's all kinds of stuff in there. Bad stuff. Excuse me one moment. Yum. Fresh water, by the way, is probably I would say one of the most important aspects that anyone can do. First and foremost, that in exercise. Then nutrition, of course. But one of these by themselves aren't going to do you any good. So I don't know if you can actually put one above another, but all very much important. So some of these dirty dozen, again, with vaccines, that is a big topic. And hey, come back over here tomorrow for Truther Talk. And there's a lot of good information here on UCY. There's one good source, by the way. We have environmental toxicity that's in our water and our food supply and in the air. There's body-containing chemicals. We got pesticides, GMOs, cosmetics, dental toxins. We got stuff coming from what we're consuming, and say from diet soda. There's the EMF. That's called EMFs are causing so many problems that that come from cell phones and Wi-Fi and stuff. A lot of issues from the environment. Dane Wigington just earlier, about a little over an hour ago, made the statement about not really being able to have true organic foods these days because of the fallout from the skies above. And very good point. And that brings another point, and that was from Geoengineering Watch with Dane and Russ and Greg. Fantastic show. I invite you to tune in there as well every week on Saturdays. So, dadgum. Oh yes, from there it reminded me of Off-Grid Journey. And Drew Lamb, great host, Thursday nights on Double Cross Radio with Chuck Horton also. And then Sunday's Off-Grid Journey, which I've had the honor of hosting for here about 3 weeks, and took a week also about the last month as Drew's taking a little time off. And again, I'll be hosting tomorrow. Fire Quest being the title of that. So that's going to be some of what I talk about. And I had been talking about the backtracking, the off-grid journey, and I think we're going to come on a little fast forward and maybe do kind of a little bug out into the future, right? Okay, so episode 5 is Nature's Pharmacy. Food for Health. That's a page I have and on Facebook, and I put a lot of good stuff here. And here is one from Cancer Truce, which is one of Ty Bollinger's pages, The Truth About Cancer and Cancer Truce. If you're on Facebook, if not, go to the web and you'll find all that truth about cancer at his website. Lots more good stuff, right? So this, of course, let's see. It's sorry, this goes back. No, it does. Wait a minute. Yeah, this is at the end of my notes. But anyways, I'll go ahead and go with it now. Not the end of my notes, but the end of notes on episode 5. Iodine, essential trace element. Forms thyroid hormones and eliminates heavy metals. Essential during pregnancy. Lower risk of diabetes. Helps control weight. Lowers blood pressure and assists in detoxification. Also protects from radiation, of course. Everybody, I think, would think that's why we got it in the iodized salt. Table salt, which will be talked about here in just a second. So this from that post. Health tip. Iodine is responsible for the production of almost every hormone in the body and is typically found in high levels in the thyroid, breast, liver, breast thing hung me up there, I think. Liver, lungs, heart, and adrenal glands. Iodine is essential during pregnancy. Iodine used to be added to baking goods in the U.S., but was replaced with bromine back in the 1970s. As a direct result, today, most Americans, 96%, are iodine deficient. In the human body, it forms an essential compound of thyroxine, the main hormone produced by the thyroid gland. Various clinicians and researchers have found iodine effective with goiter, ovarian cysts, uterine fibroids, fibrocystic breast, hypertension, obesity, and diabetes. Iodine also assists the body in eliminating heavy metals and toxins like lead, arsenic, bromide, perchlorate, aluminum, mercury, and fluoride. Interestingly, fluorinated drinking water actually depletes iodine absorption. Excuse me. Iodine deficiency leads to cancers of the breast, prostate, ovaries, uterus, and thyroid. Iodine deficiency can also lead to mental retardation and infertility. So now we have, how can we correct an iodine deficiency? Most likely to correct an iodine deficiency by taking iodized salt is not feasible. Here we go. This is about the table salt. So how many teaspoons of iodized salt daily would you be required to get adequate quantities of iodine? I'm going to give you a minute to guess, and then I will say. So it's 20 teaspoons of iodine salt. No, probably not going to get that much, right? So my entire family, even this is from, I'm thinking this is Ty wrote this. His entire family, even their 2-year-old baby girl, takes an iodine supplement each and every day. Talk about their brand they take, but says you can easily make your own iodine supplement if you're so inclined. We'll have to find out how to do that, right? In addition, most Americans aren't aware that the entire USA is still being radiated from the Fukushima fallout. Come to UCY.tv and look up there, and you'll find a place to get the Fukushima facts. Okay, where are we at? Lost my spot, sorry. So, okay, if you're inclined. And Fukushima fallout. So, it's vital to fill your thyroid gland with good iodine, right? So there's no room left for the radioactive iodine to absorb. Before Fukushima, I would have recommended kelp, but since it's nature's best source of iodine. However, due to that disaster in Japan, much of the kelp in the Pacific specifically has become radiated. It's no laughing matter. Okay. Interestingly, excessive consumption of certain foods like cabbage, cauliflower, and radish can help cause iodine deficiency. Interesting. These foods contain a substance which reacts with iodine present in the food and makes it unsuitable for absorption. Very interesting. Will you excuse me just one moment? More water. Okay. Now, so what we're looking at, we want a diet rich in fruits and vegetables from Nature's Pharmacy. Back to episode 5. You don't want stuff full of bioflavonoids and carotenoids. Go for the color. This from Dr. Patrick Quillen, and he was interviewed in the series. He says, go for the color, and welcome to my pharmacy. Phytochemicals. That's what you're looking for, right? Hey, guess what? Hi, it's time for the 420 report from the Buzz Beaver. It is 420 in the Central Time Zone. So if it's not that on your clock right now where you're listening, remember it's always 420 somewhere. Okay, this is contrasting indica to sativa. Indica's nighttime use. It gives the body high. It's a sedative. It relieves anxiety, causes sleepiness, relieves pain, and has a high CBD level. CBDs, Chris Work talks about those also in this series. Very, very important when you're dealing with cancers. And also children with autism. It almost just makes the seizures extinct from hundreds and thousands down to little or none. Contrasting the indica to the sativa, it's a daytime use. It's a cerebral high. It's energetic. It stimulates the appetite, enhances creativity. It relieves depression and has a higher THC level, and that's a psychotropic. Yeah, I think. And hey, that's posted to one of the administrators, Jenny Collins. She's a contributor here and big help at the Buzz Beaver on Facebook if you are there and so inclined to visit. Hope you catch the tongue in cheek. Okie dokie. And that was the 420 report. Where do we go? I was, you might not believe this, but the study finds marijuana increases your IQ. Yes. Okay. Yeah, and so back to Nature's Pharmacy. Yeah, we have a very big nutrient deficiency, especially of iodine and selenium as well, being how the bromine replaced iodine back in the 70s, as we discussed earlier. And, excuse me one moment, let me look and see this here. That was a message. Okay. Let me see, just give me a second. Episode 6 is on clean foods and the cancer-free diet. That a lot of could be covered again back on matters of food and health for health. There is a lot covered in episode 7 on through 9 there, the 3-part series, and that's called Diagnostics, Do's and Don'ts, and Proven Treatment Protocols. And episode 10 is called Doctor's Orders. Would you believe that 80% of all oncologists would not recommend conventional treatment for themselves or their family? And there were some interviews here that most would agree that prevention is the best method, and that is changing the internal terrain. And you want to make an environment where cancer cannot survive. Now, it's proven that cancer cannot survive where there's a high pH balance. It needs that acidic environment to thrive and survive. Drinking a Coca-Cola, the acidity level on that is like 2.5, right? Man, and plus the sugar, right? So it's a double whammy. Now, to change the internal terrain, organ cleanses are recommended. Well, one of his guests said to be sure to start at the tail end, basically, and backtrack up. So that would mean start with the valent cleanse, which you're addressing your colon and urinary tract and so forth, and then you'd go with the liver and gallbladder, and finally a blood system cleanse. There's, if you search for any type of, whatever search engine you've got, just there's a lot of information out there, right? Lots and lots. And basically the premise has been that to do no harm and use a non-toxic therapy to start with. If you don't want to go straight off in, you go to chemotherapy and radiation and all that stuff, right? You're getting into problems because that's killing all the tissues. It's knocking your immune system out. Plus these things, they actually promote more cancer. Promotes the growth of the area, causes the spreading, and promotes other cancers, worse cancers. So, also in surgery, if you open up a surgery, and cut into, say, a tumor there, right? And that just exposes the air and it just opens that up to growth. Now, on the other hand, if you're getting a good oxygen therapy, that internal oxygen actually kills cancer. And CBDs kills cancer as well. Make back to, the picture right here. That's Jenny put that up as the cover. The indica, right? It's high in the CBDs. and that right there, you make it oil down from that and use that in the concentrated form, which is a cancer killer for certain. Lots and lots of research has been done on this. I think it's very well proven that the cannabis plant is a miracle plant beyond its uses in the industrial aspects. Number 11 is how to survive and thrive. And you know what? I think the bravest souls there are in the world are those that have battled cancer or are battling cancer. Can you imagine what man, I just can't imagine. That's such a terrible, terrible, painful affliction. Wow. You know what? Ian Jacklin, he's one of my heroes, and that's how I met Jay Cynthia. This is her show. I'm honored to be filling in for it and taking this little exploration that we're upon. You know what? I believe I'd like to hear Ty and Ian, and I want to play them.
So I'm here tonight at Max Fitness Academy in Sherman Oaks, California, with Ian Jacklin. Ian, thanks for taking the time to speak with us tonight.
Good to be here, Ty. I'm a big fan of yours, so this is an honor.
Thank you. Well, the honor's all mine. We're talking to a former kickbox champion of Canada and North America, right? And you actually fought for the world kickbox champion in the early 90s.
Yes, I did, yeah. Yeah, thanks. I almost forget about that. Seems like a lifetime ago. But that's how I got into... the reason why I got into kickboxing martial arts, actually, was because I saw a buddy of mine get beat up. And there was nothing I could do about it. I got held down, and he just got beat up in front of me. So I got my mom to put me into karate immediately at 14. By 16, I was fighting pro, because there was no amateur kickboxing back then. And then by 18, I was Canadian champ. And then early 20s North American champ, fought for the world championship against Javier Mendez, who is now the heavyweight champion's trainer of the world in MMA, Cain Velasquez. So that's kind of cool. Javier and I fought twice, and we're 1-1. So if he can drop about 100 pounds, I'll take him on again. We'll do number 3.
I like it.
I'm still in shape, though. So.
Yeah, I can tell that. Now, what got you into fitness and into nutrition? And specifically, you know a lot about cancer, and that's why we're here tonight. So tell us, what was your road? What paved the way for you to get into this line of work?
Well, it's ironic, and I was just figuring it out as I was explaining that part. Like, I got into martial arts because I didn't want to see my friends get beat up. I didn't want to worry about my family or anybody. I wanted to be able to protect them. So that's why I got into karate. And then when I found out that, okay, I can now beat up most people with my hands. Not every guy, and especially now the MMA is out there's a lot of young guys that would take me apart. But still, in general, I probably could beat 95% of the people on the planet, maybe even higher. But if it comes to cancer, see, I'm used to being able to use that skill. If you were trying to attack me right now and to kill my wife and family, I'm going to do everything I can. And I'm allowed to. God says so. I can kill you if I have to, to defend myself and my family. Well, I found out when it came to cancer, you can't do the same thing. That like cancer, I wanted to use my filmmaking as my new martial arts. So I learned to take the same passion, the same focus on how to hurt somebody physically in order to stop them from hurting you. I do it now with a camera, and I'm really focusing this film I'm working on now. My old one was on cancer in general. This one is on, I'm going to call it baby killers, I believe, because that's what they are. They're putting our children on chemotherapy when they know it only works for cancer cells, not cancer stem cells. They know that cancer stem cells are created or are made stronger, more powerful, but with radiation. Radiation doesn't kill cancer stem cells. Nothing kills cancer stem cells that I know of. So I don't know why they're using chemo and radiation for that, because those are the ones that kill you, the cancer stem cells. So,
what specifically are oncologists doing? You mentioned that what they're doing is they're killing people with what they're doing. Specifically, what treatments are you talking about that are harmful to people?
unfortunately, in the Western world right now, almost all medical systems, whether it be Canada, Europe, America, our doctors are only allowed to do chemo, radiation, and surgery when it comes to treating cancer patients. And we know that chemotherapy does not work for stem cells, the cancer stem cells. We know radiation makes the cancer stem cells worse. So I don't know why either one of those would be used. Surgery could be used on occasion if there's something blocking maybe an artery or a passageway. But in general, most cancers can be taken care of holistically. Personally, I would never use chemo, radiation, or surgery for myself or my family. I've done too much research, and I've just seen the number. I see the people die in front of me. People get cancer, they do chemo, radiation, surgery. Hardly ever works. People that get cancer, they do alkaline diet, Rife machine, vitamins and minerals. They cleanse their system and get their playing field back to the way it's supposed to be. And almost all of them cure themselves. I found out. I got bummed out recently because I had 2 people die in a row, and I was depressed. That happens to oncologists daily. That hardly ever happens to me as a cancer coach using holistic methods. I mean, people do pass away. There's no silver bullet, but it's a lot more people make it to do the holistic.
So, Ian, why do traditional oncologists not tell their cancer patients about nutrition? Because, I mean, some do, but as a general rule, most of them don't really give much nutritional advice. Why would that be, in your opinion?
Well, from the research I've done, it's because they don't know. They're not taught that in school. They get an hour or 2 of nutrition. I've been told. I don't know if that's true. I don't want to believe it, that my doctor was given an hour or 2 of nutrition, maybe even a course or 2. I would be disappointed if it was a course or 2. I would expect my doctor to have been most of his schooling be about nutrition, because that is how you heal yourself. You've got to change the playing ground. What people may not know is Carnegie and Rockefeller owned the pharmaceutical companies in the early 1900s and basically bought out the schools so they could tell the teachers what to teach the doctors. The Flexner Report. The Flexner Report. So now we basically have doctors that were told what to learn, which just so happened to be to sell the pharmaceuticals that the people that were paying all the bills were supplying. So the fox guards the hen house. Straight up.
And so that would be, my next question was going to be, why do medical schools today teach a drug-intensive style of medicine? And that would answer that question.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate and sad thing. So a lot of people ask, why does Mike Adams get all political now? Why does Alex Jones get political? Why do some of these people that were more health-oriented at one time get political? Because we have no choice. Once you learn the truth, it's like if I see somebody push an old lady off a cliff, and I don't go tell the authorities, that's on me, So we have to just start standing up, I think, and as you and I are, and expressing to people. And it's really working. Have you yourself noticed an evolution in the last 17 years? We didn't even know what an alkaline diet was 17 years ago. Now I find cancer patients are coming to me telling me, I got my pH up to 7.2. I'm like, hey, evolution.
Talk about alkaline diet and the importance of alkaline diet and the internal terrain being alkaline in order to prevent cancer and to stay healthy.
Cancer can't live in an alkaline environment. My mentor, Dr. Bernardo, who's a star in my film, I Cure Cancer, spoke a lot about this, and he cured almost all the people that came to him with the alkaline diet. So what I've learned recently, 17 years worth, would be alkaline diet. And the new thing is cannabis hemp oil. I don't know how much you've heard about that, but you basically take marijuana and boil it down to 2 ounces of the essential oil, preferably with Everclear or some kind of food-grade solvent. And boom, you got yourself not only possibly the cancer cure, but the Crohn's cure, the AIDS cure, the diabetes cure. And then I use the word cure lightly because there is no such thing. I mean, sure, you can cure it, but there's no silver bullet. And I don't want to get anybody too excited because there is no silver bullet from what I've seen. Cannabis hemp oil would definitely be in my arsenal for the CBDs and the THC. The THC, they're both cannabinoids. The THC will get you high, but that is more for the cancer. So for the cancer patients, I would recommend getting the higher THC, but the CBDs are very, very important too for healing. Those are the ones that Dr. Sanjay Gulute brought out that are curing the seizures on the children, right? He's the guy that said, oh, no, marijuana is bad years ago, and now has come back and said, oops, I was wrong. And, you know, nice guy for doing that.
So, Ian, let me ask you this. Let's say you were diagnosed with prostate cancer. What would you do to treat it?
Ironically, I swear I just cured myself of prostate cancer. Now, it's tough for me to say that because I don't have any records. But I'm not stupid enough to go to a doctor and get a biopsy. As soon as you cut it, cancer cells are now in your blood system. So if you had cancer here now, it's probably going to settle somewhere else. And the same thing with mammograms. Unfortunately, all the ladies, please don't ever get mammograms. Because think of squishing a grape. If you do have a breast tumor and it is cancerous and they just squash it with their machines, now you know that cancer isn't just in your breast. It's in your bloodstream. It's going to go everywhere. So I was smart enough not to let them scoop out any of my prostate, because if it was cancerous, guess what? I got to worry about cancer somewhere else than my prostate.
Because with the biopsy, what you're talking about, a biopsy, they stick a needle into it. And so then that needle has to therefore come out. And as it trails out, it could pull with the cancer cells, is what you're saying, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And that's the bottom line. So instead of even bother going to my doctor, I just got on an alkaline diet. I took because my pH was 5.5 for a good 6 months, and that's bad. And save yourself some pain, folks. Go out and get some pH strips. Test your intercellular fluid levels in the mornings. You want it to be 7.2 or 7.4. Cancer can't live. So if you started off with 5 and you got it to 7.4 and you keep it there for 3 months, my mentor, Dr. Bernardo, said you're cancer free, and if you keep it there, you will be. And it's true. But if you go off the diet and go back, then your gut chance, like I've had 2 friends die recently. I mean, they were cancer-free for one over 10 years and the other for about 7. One little thing goes wrong up here, they get depressed, and now they don't have that desire to live anymore and to get up early and make the juices and stay alkaline and stuff. So my message to most people is, A, get alkaline if you have cancer, B, stay there. Don't ever go back to being acidic, because it'll come and get you.
So when you talk about juicing and staying alkaline, what you're talking about is then staying alkaline is providing the body, the internal terrain, with the proper conditions that it needs so that cancer can't thrive, right? And so how does juicing do that? Talk about juicing and the importance of juicing in your nutritional regimen.
Okay, so having a pH of 5, knowing I have to get it to 7.2, and knowing there's a way of doing that, it's called eating alkaline foods. So I would say Google alkaline diet. It's basically dark cruciferous greens, kales, and things like that. If you're not too far gone with cancer and you can handle blending, I like blending with the high-power Blendtex, that emulsify the apple seeds, which have cyanide in them, which are really good for cancer. A lot of people don't know that.
Vitamin B17.
B17, yeah. It's Laetrile. If you can't get the actual Laetrile, then I would be chewing apple seeds or putting them, the whole core of the apple, into the blender that will break that up and bring it out to you. So, yeah, in a matter of 2-3 months, I went from a pH of 5 to 7.4, right back up to where it used to be. And I just saved myself probably prostate surgery, which means I can still have sex, for the rest of my life. I'm only 45, I haven't even had kids yet, and I plan on it. So I gotta thank God, and I gotta thank Dr. Bernardo for teaching me that about the pH level. The thing is, because if I didn't know about the pH level, I would have stayed pH level of 5. Now, would that matter as far as I'm concerned out here? No, I'd go about my day. If I got about 5-10 years down the line, if I had that pH there that long, I definitely would have every kind of cancer you could think of. Definitely the prostate, and I'm sure it would have spread everywhere else. So because I happened to stumble across a few people in my life, and I learned about the alkaline thing, and I was already testing my pH. That's the key. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So if you take that pH strip and you're testing yourself every day, and you're 6.3, you're 7, you're decent, fine. Check it once a month. That's what I did. Then 6 months down the line, I get 6 in a row that are 5, and I was in denial. I shouldn't have waited that long. I should have right away got on, but I didn't. I was in denial. I'm the cancer guy. I can't get cancer. Are you kidding me? But I did. So finally I just got out of denial and I went to work. I got the cannabis hemp oil. I got the alkaline diet, the juicing, And it wasn't even 2 months when I got my pH back up. So I snipped it in the bud, whereas it could have been a horrible, horrible, many years of pain and discomfort.
Well, you won that cancer battle. It sounds like in 1971, President Nixon declared a war on cancer. Ian, do you believe that we're winning a war on cancer now?
What I learned, unfortunately, through this whole thing, through that Rockefeller thing, how the pharmaceutical companies were owned by him, and on a business move, he realized that he could get the teachers to teach the students to write prescriptions. You know, great business for their company.
It's very lucrative.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it didn't work. It doesn't work, and the public's catching on to it now thanks to the internet. So grow your own medicine and grow your own food. That's the only conclusion I've come to.
So if you talk about growing your own medicine, okay? I was doing an interview with Mike Adams, and he said his teacher took him out into the forest and said, show me one thing that is not medicinal. And there's nothing that was growing that didn't have medicinal properties. So when you talk about growing your own medicine, what are you talking about?
Well, personally, right away, of course, would be the cannabis, because that's the easiest one. You grow some marijuana in your backyard because, I think it's legal in most states now.
It's definitely legal here in California.
Yeah. Every old folks' home should have cannabis hemp oil in it, the high CBD and the high THC, because it reduces inflammation. I needed a hip replacement for my 10 years of kickboxing. Since I tried the cannabis hemp oil, it really reduced the inflammation to the point where I could walk without a limp for for periods of time. Plus, I'm doing a lot of other things to rebuild that. But for those that have arthritis or almost any ailment you can think of, the cannabis hemp oil it's working wonders.
So would you call hemp an evil weed or a miracle plant?
I call it God's gift. Marijuana is God's gift. Isn't that crazy too? The whole Bramble-Hearst and DuPont with the demon drug. It makes white women sleep with black men. It makes you crazy. It makes you kill people.
Reefer madness.
Yeah, reefer madness. It's what a lesson in how retarded we were as a society back then. To fall for that.
And that was yet another instance of big business taking over medicine, because as you know, Randall Seymour Hearst owned Hearst Publishing. He owned thousands of acres of timber, and with the hemp plant being so good for making paper, one acre of hemp will make the equivalent of 10 acres of trees in paper. So that was competition to him, and so they removed the competition by making it illegal.
I know, and that's the one thing that kills me about that is every 13 weeks you got a marijuana crop, boom, there's a bunch of paper, there's a bunch of wood. Another 13 weeks, there you go. But what does a tree take? 100 years, man, 100 years. And you can't keep the truth from people anymore.
We'll talk about that, the good things on the horizon, especially when it comes to this awakening that's going on with natural health and natural cancer treatments. Does it seem to you, Ian, that people are more open to this than they were, say, 10 years ago?
Absolutely, 100%. I've been doing this for about 17 years, and definitely just the last 5, like I said, people know what alkaline diet is before I even talk to them. Our consciousness of the masses has risen so much.
So, Ian, I know in the past you've done a couple of documentary films. You've done I Cure Cancer, and then you're currently working on the one that you said it was Baby Killers, about poisoning children with chemotherapy. What's the future hold for you as far as your desire to continue producing documentaries? What do you plan to do?
Basically, I want to finish I Cure Cancer 2. I got to write a book, I Cure Cancer, probably call it that, to have all this in one little package so somebody can take that on a plane, and when they get to where they're going, hopefully open it up and start curing themselves. So I'm going to finish my book, finish my documentary, shoot a movie on this to bring my martial arts skills back into the whole thing. And that will you can teach people how to cure cancer without them even learning. They're there to watch a martial art film, and they're going to walk out knowing that if you eat cannabis hemp oil, you might be able to cure yourself of cancer. There's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah, there is, and you're going to work on getting this word out to the masses.
Yeah, I really want the people to know, because I think it's unfair. The same reason why I got into karate, to learn how to protect myself and my family and friends, is, I guess I'm using my camera as my martial arts now, because legally you just can't go and start karate chopping people, even if they do deserve it. I produced and directed I Cure Cancer, which put me on the map. I'm almost done shooting part 2, Baby Killers, which the reason why I had to make that was because I got everything in part one. That'll teach you how to cure cancer, with the exception I didn't know about marijuana back then. So that's kind of cool. I get to do part two too, to bring in the cannabinoids. But also to show that right now in America, they can murder your child and you have nothing to say about it. If you try and get in the way of that murder, you go to jail. Mm. So, and I think that's wrong. So I want everybody to know this so we can change the rule. If nothing else, it should come down to what the parents should be able to make their own educated decision of chemo or no chemo. Because anybody that spends any amount of time looking up chemo will find out it doesn't work. They know it does. They know it doesn't work. That's what makes me most angry. 3% of the time will chemo work on tumor-type cancers. 3%. Up to 40 for some of the blood cancers. That's still a horrible, horrible. Most people, I've been doing this 17 years, and I can honestly say, holistic medicine for cancer is at least a 50% chance. You can go to Gerson. They admit they've got studies saying just by juicing the way they tell you to juice, they got a 50% cure rate. And that's not, I would do tons more than just juicing. You know what I mean? Like, there's better than Gerson. By Gerson. So I'm trying to keep Gerson in the good here. They know it, and they now do that as well. So, sure. But basically, I would do some sort of Gerson style, like for the alkalinity, and then boost that immune system, man. Boost that immune system and cleanse.
So it's important to detoxify, to get rid of the toxicity in order to keep the body alkaline, in order to keep it clean, in order to give the cancer an inhospitable breeding ground, I guess.
Yeah. You really got to get that terrain, because it doesn't matter if you cure yourself with chemo, with cannabis hemp oil, with alkaline diet. It's going to come back if you didn't change the terrain. That surgery, you can go and cut your testicle off. You hadn't spread yet, boom, there you are, cancer-free. But you didn't change the terrain. Why did you get that cancer in the first place? You know.
So in other words, what you would do is look to treat the actual cause instead of potentially cutting off the symptom, which would be a tumor.
Absolutely, because what's going to happen is, especially if you cut it off incorrectly, you've also spread it too. So that's the other problem.
Well, Ian, thanks for all that you're doing. Thanks for all that you have done. And thank you for the time that you spent tonight sharing some of your knowledge with us.
My pleasure, man. Thank you.
Take care.
Right on. That's The Truth About Cancer. That was Ty Bollinger and Ian Jacklin. That was a knockout, Ian. Yeah, change the terrain. Pretty awesome. Ian's, man, he's got quite a career behind him. Film star, championship kickboxer, boxer. Quite a guy, man. Now he's really fighting here for the truth about cancer and trying to change the world. This Chris Ward, I've kind of a little bit of here, just what he had to say. This isn't for verbatim, but he says everyone has cancer cells in their body. The immune system is the only permanent cure to cancer. He refers to he refers to nutrition as the army, and it gives the firepower, that's the weapons, to keep you well. Chemo kills your army, also causing more aggressive cancers and damage to other parts of the body. So, I mean, there's just, I can't believe that, you know, the modern cancer industry has gone on as long as it has, especially when you consider, 1970, when the supposed war on cancer began? Well, we know every time they declare a war on something, the problem only gets worse, right? Most certainly. Again, thanks, Ian, and Ty, and your wife, and your kids. You know, they're all a part of this. Ty Bollinger went all over the country. This is the most intensive collection of experts in this field, and I've got to invite you to go to thetruthaboutcancer.com. And if you miss this, the free viewing this weekend, if you're catching this a little later, go back there, and they're also available for purchase. Which, quite obviously, this is the second marathon of free viewing for this. Ty's not out here for seeking money, because he wants to get the information out there. But it does cost them. So if you can contribute to the cause, then I know that would be much appreciated. So Yeah. Hey, get it. It's Christmas time right now. Matter of fact, if you order it now, you can get it before Christmas, and it makes a great gift for you and your loved ones, right? Um, let's talk some about the alkaline diet. Alkaline foods. This comes from besttorawfood.com. Best of raw food. I'm sorry.com. Alkaline foods are the foods that raise the amount of oxygen that your blood takes in. The most alkalizing foods are raw, green, leafy vegetables, non-sweet fruits, and wheatgrass, for instance, many grasses. The opposite of alkaline foods, of course, are acidic foods. Let me stop with a note there. Now, one might assume that a lemon, being an acidic food, would, make your pH drop, but quite contrary. Foods like that actually convert to alkaline, the acidic foods. Now, I might have a little point in contention about the tomato, but I'm not certain. But I know if you have some acid reflux, drink some, put you a little shot of vinegar into a glass of water and drink that down. You're actually needing more acid. And baking soda would, of course, absorb the acid in your stomach and just exacerbate the problem. It's a matter of your body sending you signals, right? So now, acidic foods that you would be like processed foods. Go eat a Big Mac or something like that, right? No nutrition, zero. It's just a lot of empty calories. That the food that a lot of Americans are eating than people, I guess, elsewhere in the world. And that's the leading cause of all of our health reasons. Every one of them are caused due to lack of, or let me just use, for not changing the terrain, right? So how much oxygen your blood can absorb is measured in a pH scale, and it ranges from 0 to 14. The bottom end is at the acidic level, so the higher you go, the more alkaline you get. The right acid, an alkaline balance. Our blood is in balance when we're slightly alkaline with a pH of 7.365. I find this a very, very interesting number. When I was reading this, I got this, right? 7,365, 24/7, 365, if you want to just think of it daily. But every day, every week, we have to, a person can fall off, you don't have to be perfect. I certainly ain't, but long ways from it. Anyways, so that's pretty neat. I still think 7.365. Okay, in the beginning of the 20th century, very smart scientists and Nobel Prize winners made a great discovery. If our blood cannot absorb enough oxygen, we get sick. Cancer, heart issues, arthritis, candida infections, diabetes are the result. You know that our body tries to maintain a constant temperature of 98.5. That's 37 degrees Celsius, if you know how to convert that. We Americans are we're rebels. We're not going to convert to the C system. But do you know that your body tries even harder to maintain the right amount of oxygen in your blood? A pH of 7, what that number again, 0.365. When our pH is too high or too low, we don't feel well. We feel tired, we gain weight, have poor digestion, and get aches and pains. Most people in the U.S. and Europe are too acidic. They cannot absorb enough oxygen. That's why cancer, heart disease, arthritis, diabetes are an epidemic. Why are we too acidic? The famous four. Here we go. Stress, toxins, parasites, and the food we eat. People don't even realize it today, but a recent study, I don't know how recent it was, probably an old study, says actually trichina, most people, when they've been autopsied, then they look for it, which they don't. They're ate up with parasites, and a lot of trichina. Excuse me a sec. Hey, wow, we're coming up to the end of the hour. I think this might be like a minute and a half long. And I want to be sure to get this in. So I want to play this. I want to end where Ty Bollinger starts. And I'm going to let him introduce the series here. And thanks, Ty. I really appreciate your work. You're awesome. So let me let him intro our outro.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Quest for the Cures Continues. My name's Ty Bollinger, and I'm going to be your host. I'm so glad that you've tuned in tonight because this program, this docuseries for the next 11 days, is for you. Whether you're just trying to prevent cancer, whether you have a loved one or a child with cancer, or whether you've been personally diagnosed with cancer, you deserve to know all of your options. If you remember back in the spring, we aired The Quest for the Cures, in which I traveled across the country interviewing doctors and researchers and cancer patients to find out exactly what they are doing to treat their cancer naturally. Because of your support, we've continued our journey and traveled to Houston, Frisco, LA, Washington, D.C., Detroit, all across the USA, and interviewed another 22 doctors and scientists. We now have 51 of the most renowned doctors, scientists, and survivors who are breaking their code of silence and will be sharing with you these next 11 days about natural treatments for cancer. And we've learned more information about these natural treatments that mitigate cancer. According to the World Health Organization, 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women alive today will face a cancer diagnosis. I lost my entire family to cancer. In 1996, my father, Graham Bollinger, was diagnosed with stomach cancer. He was 52 years old, and he died in 25 days from the surgery. After that, my grandfather, my uncle, my cousin, my grandmother, another grandfather, and then eventually my mother in 2004 died of cancer. Now, I'm doing what I'm doing because of them. My passion is to share this information with you so that you can be able to make an informed decision if you face that cancer diagnosis.
Thanks, Ty. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Everybody in chat, y'all make it real worthwhile to be able to come in here and see the interaction. Appreciate it a bunch. J. Cynthia Brooks, thank you again, Ian Jacqueline, Ty Bollinger, everybody out there that is sharing this information. Thanks for all the shares on Facebook, y'all. And come back into UCY.TV for some more great radio. All kinds of incredible information that you can find right here. Thanks, Jules. You were awesome. You put all this together and gave us a place to share our voice. So keep listening, and love and peace, y'all. We'll be going out here in just a minute. So, hey, Maddie, thank you, brother. Dusty, Becky, JJ, everybody else that joined in the conversation. Joe, Global Earth Guy, Jax, you bet. Thanks, you guys. Top Knot, Geo, and all the anons there. Appreciate it bunches. Any minute. I ran out of things to say. I'm glad to see into the hour. Hey, come on. 1, 2, 3. There it goes. Right. I think my clock's slow. And remember, this show has been brought to you in part by the Buzz Beaver with the 420 Report.
Playtime is now over, and a far more profound 2-minute period of your life has just begun.
The crippled Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant is showing the highest levels of radioactive cesium recorded so far in the groundwater on the coastal side. Last week's heavy rainfall may be the cause. Officials say water taken from a well contained 190,000 becquerels of cesium-137 and 61,000 becquerels of cesium-134 per liter. The well for observing groundwater is located on the coastal side of the number 2 reactor building. Highly contaminated water that flowed into an underground tunnel in the 2011 accident seeped into soil in the area. Officials say the heavy rainfall from a typhoon last week likely caused radioactive substances in the soil to flow into the groundwater. The officials plan to increase the frequency of water sample tests to monitor the effects of the heavy rainfall. They say it will be difficult to take drastic steps because they don't know how far contaminated water seeped into the ground after the accident.
Japan's nuclear regulator says it has decided not to use an emergency system known as SPEEDY to predict the spread of nuclear fallout. The regulator has deemed the system unreliable. SPEEDY is supposed to predict how radioactive substances will spread from a damaged plant based on weather and topographic data. It covers Japan's nuclear power stations and other facilities, but most of the system's predictions during the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster were not released for nearly 2 months after the accident. Officials of the Nuclear Regulation Authority said at a meeting on Wednesday that the use of inaccurate predictions could increase the risk of local residents being exposed to radiation. They decided they will not use the data to draw up evacuation policy. Experts who investigated the Fukushima accident disagree on whether the data is accurate enough to be used for making decisions on evacuation.
Which is counterintuitive to the point of madness.
And then the next commercial is This Bud's for You. Come on, everybody, let's be hypocritical bastards.
A government panel investigating the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant accident will issue its final report next week. It will say residents could have avoided unnecessary exposure to radiation if the government's SPEEDY system for predicting the spread of radioactive substances had been used to plan their evacuations. But the SPEEDY results were not publicized by government officials. That's because they presumed the system was activated using meteorological predictions on how radiation would spread. The panel is studying the Science Ministry's SPEEDY results and the evacuations of residents. It plans to issue its final report on July 23rd. The report will say SPEEDY predicted in the noon of March 15th last year that radioactive elements would spread inland toward the west and northwest. Residents were fleeing in those directions on that day. In fact, high levels of radiation, sometimes reaching 330 microsieverts per hour, were detected 20 kilometers northwest of the nuclear power plant. SPEEDY was also forecast that from the dawn of March 16th, a change in wind directions would send radioactive substances out over the Pacific Ocean. The report will also say people could have avoided unnecessary exposure to radiation if the government had used SPEEDY predictions in planning evacuations, and if residents had been ordered to stay inside on March 15th and seek refuge on the following day.
We could have evacuated in another direction if the forecast data of SPEEDY had been disclosed in advance, as there was a high level of radiation where we fled.
Earlier this month, another panel of experts commissioned by the Diet issued its report, which included a different conclusion on SPEEDY from that of the government committee. It said SPEEDY forecasts cannot be used as a basis to craft initial evacuation plans due to the limited accuracy of weather information to be used in predictions.
So all I'm saying is if anybody thinks that they're not going to screw you, well, good for you.
The Japanese government is doing more to help municipalities prepare for the possibility of nuclear power plant accidents. The Cabinet Office has established a section dedicated to the task full-time. The division brings together 50 people from the Nuclear Regulation Authority and other agencies. In the past, the Cabinet Office has advised local governments on disaster preparedness. But the system did not assign full-time workers to disaster risk management, raising criticism that it was insufficient.
I would like the members to work closely with local governments on evacuation procedures while remembering lessons from the Fukushima nuclear accident.
Attention has been focused on communities around the Sendai nuclear power plant in southwestern Japan. 2 reactors at the facilities were the first to meet stricter requirements established after the accident at the Fukushima Daiichi plant in 2011. But the consent of host communities is also needed before operations can be restarted. With all 48 reactors in Japan currently offline, the new section will be working with local governments around the country to improve preparedness measures.
Hello, I'm Naohiro Masuda, TEPCO's Chief Decommissioning Officer. Here at Fukushima Daiichi, we are making progress in our work to safely decontaminate and eventually decommission this facility. I'd like to briefly show you some of the things we are doing. This is Akira Ono, the facility manager at Fukushima Daiichi. Hello, Ono-san. Thank you for joining us. You can see the very large, innovative cantilevered structure at Unit 4 that was built to stabilize the building and allow us to safely remove fuel assemblies from the spent fuel pool.
Moving the fuels out of the damaged reactor building and into safe storage lays the groundwork for moving forward with cleanup and remediation of the damaged building.
Our people have worked so hard for several years on this procedure so that it could be performed safely at Unit 1 through 4. It is just one of the many things we are doing here at Fukushima Daiichi. Some tasks involve preparing for eventually removing the nuclear debris from Unit 1 through 3, a process that will take years.
We installed a protective cover for the damaged reactor building of Unit 1 in October 2011, and from here on the cover will be demolished to remove the rubble as the first step toward removing the nuclear debris. We'll develop this process together with preventing any further release of radioactive material and also maintaining the safety of the workers.
Other tasks involve the management of water to reduce the contaminated water and protect the environment.
To reduce the amount of contaminated water, the Advanced Liquid Processing System, so-called ALPS, is in operation. This can remove 62 nuclides from the water after initial processing. The system is expected to be fully operational by the end of 2014. Major expansions to the system are also planned, and their activation is expected to treat all the water stored at Fukushima Daiichi till it reaches a much safer level by the end of fiscal year 2014. As another example of water treatment, a frozen soil barrier is under construction along the perimeter of Units 1 through 4. It is designed to prevent groundwater from entering those buildings and thereby being contaminated. The technology has already been proven in tunnel construction, though this will be the first time it has been employed on so large a scale or for so long a time. Freezing of the soil is expected to begin in March 2015.
I'm very proud of the hard work all the people at Fukushima Daiichi are doing. We are striving every day to improve work conditions and make their work easier. We at TEPCO are also grateful for the participation of our partners, including Hitachi, Toshiba, and Mitsubishi, as well as our international partners, such as Sellafield and the U.S. Department of Energy. I want to express my personal commitment and the commitment of everyone at TEPCO to diligently continue the work ahead safely and with focus and accountability to its completion. And now, I'd like to introduce Dr. Dale Klein, former chairman of the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission and chairman of TEPCO's International Nuclear Reform Monitoring Committee.
It's very important to realize that while their challenges still remain, good progress has occurred. Safety culture is an area where you never finish. You always strive for excellence, and TEPCO is striving for excellence, and they are making improvement. I look forward to continuing to work with TEPCO as they move forward with their nuclear reform activities, and it's my pleasure to continue to help the Japanese people and TEPCO specifically as they move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Klein. Building a strong safety culture is a very high priority for us. We appreciate the assistance that you, Lady Judge, and so many others are providing. We hope you will follow our progress on our website. There, we will continue to demonstrate how this collaboration and our own spirit of innovation and determination will help to achieve our goals here at Fukushima and make a positive contribution to the global nuclear industry. Thank you.
Thank you.